Hey everyone, Shakrez or Killbot here. Today I'm going to teach you some tricks to deal with Riven and Darius. I constantly see comments on my videos asking for tips for these matchups, and I've been facing them a lot when I go top lane. I am playing Kayle in both of the VODs I'm going to show, but this knowledge can be used for any ranged champion. So let's start with my setup, and we'll start off with runes. This is the page I usually run versus Riven and Darius. Now, attack speed marks, that's pretty straightforward. Armor seals, you can run a mix of armor and health as well. And magic resist scaling glyphs, this is the option you can choose. You can run cooldown or scaling cooldown or other stuff. And for quintessences, I run movement speed. Now, movement speed is the most important part of this setup. I can't stress how important they are. While they might take away some of your offensive power, the utility they bring is immense, and it allows you to face the matchup with much less troubles, especially if you're not very mechanically gifted, which is my case. Going on to masteries, this is the usual page I run on Kayle, 2703, and versus Riven and Darius, I remove a point off of Butcher, another off of Feast, and a point off of Archmage, and I move them into Fleet of Foot. Now, this 1.5% movement speed means basically 5 movement speed. It's not much, but in these two matchups, every little point of move speed is going to make the difference. So it's very important. So at level 1 versus this Riven, I'm at 355 movement speed versus 345 from hers. It's important to mention that this isn't much, as her Broken Wings and Valor give her much more mobility than my Divine Blessing. It's important to, at the very least, to match her mobility purchases. If she gets boots, you should be getting them too. If you can get your tier 2 boots before her, it's even better. Okay, let's start with early laning, and the first thing I have to mention is don't face check a random brush. Usually these players stay in brushes before laning starts in order to get an early advantage or to force your teleport early, so be sure that this is not happening. In lane versus Riven, be ready to fight for every CS. This should go both ways. Every time you try to move forward, she'll activate Broken Wings and go onto you. If you know she doesn't have it, and if she tries to go for CS, you should punish her yourself. Trading pre-6 is pretty straightforward versus Riven. You almost always have to play reactively, as she's going to initiate most of the trades. The moment she uses a combination of Broken Wings and Valor, you have to immediately use Reckoning on her. If she's closing the gap too early, use Divine Blessing to run faster. It's okay if she gets damage onto you, she usually will, but after she uses Kai Burst and Broken Wings, she really won't have anything else and she will have to turn back. This is when you respond. Try to get at least 2 auto attacks off and a Reckoning if you didn't have it up previously. Now, always take into account summoner spells. Right here, Riven manages to get a lot of damage on me. I don't turn on her for 2 reasons. 1, I don't know where Lee Sin is, and 2, she has Ignite while I have Teleport. It's safer to just go back and teleport back into lane. But don't teleport immediately. Look at the lane first. If she's pushing hard, use it. If she's freezing, you're just wasting a summoner spell to then watch her freeze the lane. So just walk back in, try to fight her, and then use TP as an advantage to get back to lane when you dropped her health bar. The other very important part of this matchup is cooldowns. When you're on loading screen, make sure to go to the wiki and read up on her cooldowns. I've faced this matchup multiple times already, so I have an idea of how long her cooldowns are and how to use them to my advantage. Now, moving on to the level 6, and level 6 is a very important part of this lane, obviously. You'll notice that Riven gets to 6 a bit before me here. I immediately back off and play carefully until I get 6 myself. Don't get greedy for an extra creep or 2, play it safe. By just preventing Riven from snowballing, you're already helping your team. Now, post 6 is when you can start winning the lane, provided she isn't too ahead of you. You'll notice from the footage that Riven constantly shields my Qs. Knowing cooldowns is important, and I know more or less that her Valor has a lower cooldown than my Reckoning, so I need to wait for her to use it aggressively and then riposte when her shield is down. What you're seeing right now are 2 situations where I killed Riven, the first being with the help of a gank. I previously was killed by Lee Sin, so I was 0-1, and what I did here was I basically baited her into going aggressive after she wasted all her mobility spells, Hecarim ganked and killed her. On the second clip, I killed her alone after poking her down a bit. I waited for her to use her Valor, and after it was down, I used my Reckoning and then chased her down until the tier 2 turret. And she's very mobile, so it was a very hard kill to get, but since I'm maxing my heal second, I get enough movement speed to catch up on her. Now, the last thing that's important to mention is TP advantage. Most of the time these laners won't have teleport, but you will. This means that you might lose in a straight 1v1, so play it smart. And you can use TP in two situations here. One, you try to fight your opponent without dying, then you back off, heal up and teleport back to lane. This gives you a big advantage. With it, you can push the enemy out of lane, or just fight them in conditions that favor you. Two, you use teleport for map presence. In this instance, I pushed Riven out of lane, backed, healed up, and went bot lane. This isn't exactly the best TP gank, but my support didn't place a forward ward as I had asked. It was still a 2-for-1, so still worth it for us. So that's it for this video. I was initially going to do both Riven and Darius in the same episode, but I decided it would be too much of a lengthy video, so instead I'm going to split it into two parts. This was part 1, and I'll hopefully see you in part 2, where I analyze the lane versus Darius and what you should be doing. Until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. Chakra signing out.